Meanwhile, results for the Scottish Parliament are due on Saturday, with all eyes on the performance of the pro-independence Scottish National Party. Well, for more, we can bring in our international affairs editor, Doug Herbert. Doug, Hartlepool has flipped blue for the first time in almost a century. Great news, of course, for the Conservatives. Appalling news for the opposition Labour Party.
Yeah, Haxi, Labour and its leader, Keir Starmer, had, to be fair, been bracing for quite a loss, perhaps, in Hartlepool, a constituency which, as you noted, really has been the last time it was in Conservative hands. Winston Churchill was still alive. It goes back a long ways. What this result, all politics are local, obviously, but what this proves on a broader level is that the realignment, the trends that we began seeing in the general election in 2019, in which we saw a lot of long-held Labour seats across England's north, across its Midlands area, going to Conservatives, falling to Conservatives where they hadn't before. It wasn't a one-off. It wasn't a flash in the pan. It is something that perhaps could be the shape of things to come in this election and in those to come, even looking ahead to Britain's next general election due in either 2023 or 2024. And what's the real problem here? I mentioned Labour's leader, Keir Starmer, and the word we're hearing with this Hartlepool result is crushing defeat, not just a loss. And it's really a measure of the fact that regardless of where you stand on ideologically with your political parties, there's the word you're hearing a lot right now in British politics is leveling up. And what does leveling up mean? It means that there's a sense that that the Labour has taken the working class perhaps for granted in those traditional bastions I was just talking about. And what's been really happening in England mostly is you've had a real disconnect socioeconomic between the more blighted economic north and the Midlands region and the much more prosperous south of England and southeast of England. And that disconnect is really what you talk about. The Conservatives perhaps have been more on message, at least in holding out the promise of trying to level that playing field a little more. Labour, it's not that they don't have it in their platform. They are the party of the working class, according to their ideology and their platform. However, they haven't been good at communicating that message, and they seem to be aware of it, Haxi. What we're hearing now from the Labour Party, and we've already been hearing it, is they understand their need to listen to the voters and this is another big catchword, to reconnect with the voters. Otherwise, they're not going to change the pattern as it's taking shape right now.
So, Doug, understandably, a lot of discussion, debate about what's happened in Hartlepool today. But we are also going to be getting results for the Scottish Parliament on Saturday. And those results are going to be watched extremely closely, of course, in Scotland, also in London and in Brussels.
Everywhere. Scotland is giant. We last all had our eyes, all meaning the world practically, had their eyes on Scotland. You'll remember, Haxi, back in 2014. And that was when Scotland held its independence referendum, which had first been sort of requested in 2011 by David Cameron after strong showing by the Scottish National Party, the Nationalist Party there. And in that referendum, independence fell. It was voted down 55 to 45%. And polls since then show that it's about a level playing field, either in favor of independence or against it. But that's not the big question. The big question from these Scottish parliamentary elections is that if the Scottish National Party were to, say, win an outright majority in this voting, or if it weren't to win a majority, but the Greens, the Scottish Greens, were to get a lot of votes, and the Scottish National Party could form sort of an alliance with the Greens, a pro-independence alliance, they could request a new referendum. Doesn't mean Boris Johnson is going to grant it. He's probably going to do all he can to resist granting one. But they could ramp up the pressure to request another referendum with, pending on the result, hanging in the balance, the possible dissolution of the United Kingdom as we know it. So Boris Johnson, Haxi, for all of the gains he might be making in those English council and the by-election in Hartlepool, for all of the confidence that might give to the Conservative Party, it won't do him any good if he finds himself scrambling to fend off the breakup of the United Kingdom because of a very strong nationalist outcome, perhaps in the Scottish Parliament.
Doug Herbert, our international affairs editor, thank you very much.